It's always a better choice. My one and only station.
DBS Radio. Fair and balanced, unbiased and clear, concise and accurate. This is the DBS Evening News. Here now is your presenter with the headlines.
In the headlines, the president of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association says new site fees for the tourism sector could impact Dominica's cruise tourism. In news from the region, UN Secretary General speaks to Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. And internationally, Canada's population drops as the country caps down on immigration. Good evening, I am Leila Langford. Details of the news when we return.
This Christmas, Flow's making the season merrier when you add postpaid to internet. Unwrap a new smartphone for only $10. Plus, we're giving you 35% off your mobile bill and win even more goodies with our Spin the Wheel Christmas promotion. This Christmas, the rewards are on us. Add postpaid to your internet plan today in-store or visit discoverflow.co for more info. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, we keep your Christmas rhythm flowing.
DBS News.
Welcome back. In our lead story this evening, President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Kitwani Ferrara, says new site fees for the tourism sector could impact on Dominica's cruise tourism. The new fees came into effect at the start of the season in October.
The increase of site fees, US $20 per person per day, and the US $50 per week represent an increase of over 300% in many cases. For example, a family of 4 staying for 4 days and each requiring a week pass, this would result in an additional $152 US or a 316% increase. And if you add the proposed $30 levy on top of that, it is an additional $272 US for a family of 4, or a 566% increase. For stayover visitors and properties that host them, the impact is immediate and significant. More than 10,000 hotel nights already booked for 2026. Includes experiences priced at the previous fee structure, which result in significant losses to the industry. For many properties, small, medium, and large, the unbudgeted amounts represent material financial losses, with smaller properties already estimating impact well above 10,000 EC and sustainably more for larger operations.
President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Kitwani Ferrara. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has expressed surprise at the United States' decision to impose partial travel restrictions on Dominican nationals. Skerrit says the justification cited by Washington does not reflect recent reforms made to Dominica's Citizenship by Investment (CBI) program. He adds that the U.S. government's claim that Dominica's CBI program lacks a residency requirement is inaccurate.
First of all, let me make it clear that we respect the sovereignty of the United States. Like any other nation, it has the right to take whatever decisions it believes may be in its national interest. So we're not at odds with the United States on this matter. But certainly we are surprised by the action, because the reason given by the United States government for this decision is that our program does not have a residency requirement. As you know, the Caribbean countries with CBI programs entered into an agreement and subsequently enacted legislation. In Dominica's case, we enacted the legislation on October 15, 2025, and central to that legislation and agreement is the requirement of residency. Now, both the agreement and the legislation were thoroughly reviewed by the United States through the United States Department and, of course, the Treasury Department and the our friends at the U.S. Embassy in Barbados. They were all fully engaged. The U.S. gave us some very important feedback, and they gave their okay and approval to the final draft of both the agreement and the legislation which was passed. So the U.S. has been fully engaged on this matter. So for the reason that was given, we were surprised by it, because that has been dealt with. Among other concerns which the United States has had with regards to our CBI programs, including enhanced due diligence, including the name change, and all of those are central to the legislation.
The Prime Minister suggested that the decision may stem from a breakdown in communication between the White House and other arms in the U.S. government.
We will continue to work on this. We will send formal notes to the United States government today, seeking clarification on this matter and urging a review or consideration of the decision. And I think if the reason given by the White House is that there is no residency requirement, then that's already been addressed with the support of the United States government. So it could very well be a situation of miscommunication or lack of communication, but I don't want to speculate at this moment. I think allowing for getting accurate information from the United States government is the first order of business. Once that is done, we will respond to it formally. And of course, as always, we will keep the Dominican public fully informed and apprised of the developments as they come. So at this stage, in these moments, you have to be calm and focused on what needs to be done in the circumstance. And as a leader of the country, that's how I'm approaching this. I've been up on the phone from yesterday, calling all our contacts. As a matter of fact, I met with some U.S. officials last week in New York. And they were very pleased with what we have done, not only on this matter, but other matters that we've been working with the United States government on over the last 8 months or so. So this was really a surprise to us coming from the White House yesterday. But I'm confident that if that is the reason, then we should be able to address it. And if there are any other reasons that they may not have indicated in the proclamation, then I'm sure we can negotiate ourselves out of that challenge.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Mr. Skerrit says that the partial travel restrictions imposed by the United States on Dominican nationals will not damage relations between the two countries.
Well, I don't think it will have any impact. I think it will even improve on the communication. I will say, well, fairness to the Trump administration, we have had, I could say, more communication with the Trump administration than we had the Biden administration. The extent of the contacts and engagement on a regular basis on a number of issues that we're working on. We have seen even an increase in spending by the United States on our national security, provision of additional support. So even when U.S. aid came to an end, we continue to get support through the U.S. military, the Department of Defense. Through Southcom, on a number of very important infrastructure and training and material support from the United States government. So the relationship, in my mind, between Dominica and the current Trump administration has been very, very good. Access at the Department, at the Treasury, at the U.S. Embassy have been very effective at all levels. And so I don't see it as affecting the relationship in any way. Just that in that case, we believe that they got it wrong, and we're hoping that they recognize that they got it wrong and that they will reverse the decision in respect to this imposition on Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. In other news, the President's Charities Foundation has disbursed an amount of $42,500 to 15 charitable organizations as part of its annual check donations. The checks were presented to the organizations during a ceremony this morning at the State House Conference Center. Addressing the ceremony, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Her Excellency Sivani Burton, says these organizations continue to make a meaningful impact on the less fortunate and vulnerable individuals in the Dominican society.
Our beneficiaries, all of whom are represented here this morning, stand daily at the front lines of service. You support vulnerable children, assist the elderly and persons living with disabilities, provide health and social services, respond to emergencies, and offer hope where hope is often fragile. Your work is not always easy. It is not always visible, but it is always instrumental. The funds we distribute today may not answer every need, but they reflect our deep appreciation for your efforts and our commitment to partnering with you as you continue the essential work of nation building. They also symbolize the generosity and solidarity of the Dominican people, who year after year stand with the President's Charities Foundation to ensure that compassion remains a defining feature of our national identity. At today's ceremony, the President's Charities Foundation will be presenting check donations totaling the sum of $42,500. These donations are from a combination of part sponsorships from traditional sponsors and proceeds from the fundraising dinner.
President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Her Excellency Silvani Burton. Among the 15 charitable organizations which received donations this morning were the Alpha Center and Community Hostel Inc., formerly known as the Grotto Home for the Homeless.
Today we specifically thank the President's Charities Foundation Inc. We want you to know that the funds you provide will be used to continue providing services to our children at Alpha Center. They have great needs. Children with disabilities do have great needs. That is why it's always problematic when we have to think of how can we provide services to them.
On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff and residents of the Grotto, we say thank you for this contribution. It is not just a monetary exchange, but is a commitment to partnering with the Grotto to make a difference in the lives of its treasured residents. Your Excellency, we are deeply moved by this gesture.
President of the Community Hostel Inc., Daniel James, and before him was representative of Alpha Center, Melina Fontaine. Director of Public Communication at the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Samantha Leta, says the response of the Minister for Tourism, Denise Charles Pemberton, over environmental concerns at Debosh is encouraging. The Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association wrote to the Minister this month stating serious concerns over activities at Debosh and the Marina project in Portsmouth, which could compromise the environment.
The Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association wishes to thank the Honorable Minister for Tourism for her considered response to our recent statement and for reaffirming government's commitment to protecting Dominica's natural environment as a central pillar of national development. We welcome the clarity provided regarding both matters raised. In particular, we acknowledge and appreciate the decisive action taken at Debosh, including the pause in operations and the undertaking of a full technical and environmental review. We also welcome the confirmation that the Northern Marina development continues to be actively monitored with reports of sedimentation under review and mitigation or enforcement actions to be taken where required. These commitments are important. Dominica's rivers, reefs, rainforests, and marine ecosystems are not only environmental treasures, they are foundational to our tourism products, our community, and our livelihoods, and the long-term success of development itself.
Director of Public Communication at the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Samantha Leta. That's the National Focus, Regional and International Developments up next.
This Christmas, Flo's making the season merrier when you add postpaid to internet. Unwrap a new smartphone for only $10. Plus, we're giving you 35% off your mobile bill and win even more goodies with our Spin the Wheel Christmas promotion. This Christmas, the rewards are on us. Add postpaid to your internet plan today in-store or visit discoverflow.co for more info. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, we keep your Christmas rhythm flowing.
DBS News.
In news from the region, the United Nations has renewed its urgent call for restraint and de-escalation amid rising tensions in the region following a phone call between Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. It was confirmed via a press release by the Office of the Secretary General that Guterres received the call from Maduro to discuss the current situation. During the conversation, the Secretary General reaffirmed the United Nations position that member states must respect international law, particularly the United Nations Charter, and take steps to de-escalate tensions in order to preserve regional stability. And internationally, Canada has experienced one of its largest drops in population in the most recent quarter, the results of a crackdown on international students. The drop marks a dramatic turnaround for a country that has long attached its economic growth to migration. New estimates released by the Statistics Canada showed that Canada's population fell by 0.2% in the third quarter to stand at 41.6 million, down from 41.65 million on July 1. That's news, the DBS Evening Sports Report. Up next with Gavin Richards.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets. PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Well, good evening. I'm Gavin Richards with the DBS Evening Sports Report. Well, let's hop across straight to New Zealand as we're monitoring proceedings on day one of the third and final test between the West Indies and New Zealand. The players just gotten on the way. A matter of fact, just about 4.3 overs have been bowled so far. The news so far is that New Zealand won the toss. They've opted to bat first, and after 4.3 overs, they are 9 without loss, with a Tom Latham not out on 7 and a Devon Conway unbeaten on 2. We can tell you that the West Indies, they have made one change to their playing 11. Alec Athanaze is replacing O.J. Shields. O.J. Shields has picked up an injury, and Alec Athanaze is in the playing 11 for the third and final test. So we can give you the West Indies playing 11 is John Campbell, Brandon King, Kavem Hodge, Shea Hope, Alec Athanaze, Royston Chase, Justin Graves, Tevin Imlach, Kimmer Roach, Jaden Seals, and Anderson Phillip. And like we said, New Zealand, they've won the toss. They've opted to bat first, and they're currently 9 without loss. Of course, we'll keep you updated with the scores throughout the sports package this evening. Let's stay with cricket news because Dominica's Usinio Fontaine has been named as a reserve player for the West Indies under-19 team for the upcoming ICC Under-19 World Cup, which will take place in Zimbabwe and Namibia in January. Well, Fontaine was initially named in the team for the series against Sri Lanka and England earlier this year, and he had a top score of 39 in the 5 matches against England and managed a half-century in the series against Sri Lanka. He scored a total of 195 runs in the 2 series at a modest average of 20. However, it must be noted that Fontaine started out as a number 3 batsman before being thrusted into the opening position. So, of course, this will be a major talking point as Usinio Fontaine named as a reserve for the West Indies under-19 team and not in the 15-man squad. The top-order batsman, Joshua Dawn, he's been named the captain. The West Indies under-19 team also features West Indies player Jewel Andrew. And the West Indies, they've been drawn in Group D alongside South Africa, Afghanistan and Tanzania. And, of course, the West Indies will play warm-up matches against Ireland and Japan starting on the 10th of January. Well, let's stay with cricket news because the former West Indies captain, Nicholas Pooran, has finally opened up on his reason to retire from international cricket. Pooran shocked the world back in June when he announced his sudden retirement from the West Indies team. Speaking on the Beard Before Wicket podcast, Pooran finally opened up 6 months after why he decided to walk away from the West Indies at age 29.
A lot of people have been asking me that question and I haven't really answered it, to be honest. I spoke to Kirk Chaka. I told him it was just about time for me to move on and do what's best for my career. I mentioned earlier when everybody thinks they know what's best for your career. And I just feel like, I think people have an issue with it because I'm quite young. But what's young?
Yeah.
If I wake up tomorrow and get injured and my career finishes, is that young?
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So time is not guaranteed. I understand sports. I understand what it feels like to be a fan as well. But I've worked extremely hard to be in this position I am in today, and there's not much cricketers can be in that situation that I'm in. I came from nothing, and if you know where Trinidad and Tobago is, it's a dot on the world. I feel like it's so difficult for us to be successful from there. So when I look back at not only my career, but all the other guys, and doing everybody, Polly, for what they have accomplished in this game, for me personally, I will never take it for granted, knowing where we come from and the opportunities we had. And I just felt like if I'm using myself as an example, I work so hard to get better each and every single day. From all my trials and tribulations, I've worked so hard, and I feel like I think through all my decisions I make.
And that's the former West Indies captain, Nicholas Pooran. Well, he says his decision had nothing to do with the current state of West Indies cricket.
This has nothing to do with West Indies cricket, how it is, what's happening. This has nothing to do with that. This is all about what Nicholas Pooran wants. And this is something everyone has to come on board with as well. Right? I know I would have disappointed people. And that's also, fine and not fine in some cases. Yeah. But people have to really support my decision as well, because I'm doing what's best for myself and for my family. At the end of the day, I'm still doing what I love the most, which is playing cricket. I'm still getting the opportunity to play cricket all over the world and do what I love, and I'm still getting that chance to be the best version of myself. And I still feel I haven't reached that stage where I'm the best version of myself yet.
Former West Indies captain Nicholas Pooran. Australian wicketkeeper batsman Alex Carey says it's an amazing feeling to get a century at home. Well, Carey got 106 to carry Australia to a day one score of 326 for 8 in the third Ashes test with England. Carey says that the Australians are in a relatively good position. He also commended Usman Khawaja for his half-century. Khawaja was a last-minute replacement for the injured Steve Smith.
Obviously, really good feeling to score 100 on home soil. Family and friends were here. And I guess, really a little bit of a sticky situation there straight after lunch as well. So to form a partnership with Uzi and I guess keep us, in the fixture, still want some more runs in the morning. But to be able to play a role in the innings today was great. And again, would have loved to have scored more runs and be there a bit longer. But after lunch wasn't ideal. But I thought the way that Usman, he came into the game today, pretty last minute, played a big role, and I guess his record speaks for itself. It's not surprising for him to come in at number 4 and score a nice 80.
And that's the Australian wicketkeeper batsman Alex Carey. So the scores as we head into day 2, it's Australia 326 for 8. Alex Carey got 106 and Usman Khawaja 82. Jofra Archer has 3 for 29 and Bryden Cross 2 for 70 for England so far. And of course, our play is set to resume at 7:30 tonight, Caribbean time. Let's move to some football news as the DFA Division 1 President's Cup will serve up a mouth-watering semi-final clash this evening as the Do It Center Mighty Avengers will meet Bath Estate in a rematch of the Division 1 finals tonight. Well, both teams advance with relatively comfortable wins in the quarterfinals on the weekend, and the two newly promoted sides will battle it out from 7 o'clock at the DFA Technical Center. Well, Bath Estate head coach Michael Joseph says this is an opportunity for his team to make up for losing to the Division 1 finals to the Mighty Avengers earlier.
Yes, Gavin, it's definitely a match that I think both clubs are looking forward to. We met twice for the season so far, and both games were friendly encounters, so we expect nothing less for this next game. It's a good matchup between the two teams. We are definitely looking forward to it and looking to come out with a victory in the semi-finals and make our way to the finals.
And that's the Bath Estate head coach, Michael Joseph. So tonight's game, Do It Center Mighty Avengers and Bath Estate gets underway from 7 o'clock this evening. Of course, DBS Radio will be live from the DFA Technical Center at 7 o'clock as the off-the-field program will be held at the DFA Technical Center. Let's go back to cricket news. Veteran cricket commentator Ozzie Lewis has weighed in on the developing situation involving Dr. Kishore Sharlo and the current president, who is the current president of Cricket West Indies, following his recent appointment as Minister of Tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, according to Ozzie Lewis, Dr. Sharlo now finds himself in a difficult and delicate position, having to balance two highly demanding jobs.
Look, I'm sure when he went up for elections, he thought he'd just be what they call a backbencher, so he wouldn't have a ministerial portfolio. But I think the leader, that is Dr. Friday, has insisted that he accept, as he said, a ministerial post, Minister of Tourism, which is a very, very important portfolio to handle, and to be weighted with that, plus being the president of the West Indies board, plus he mentioned this man thing about the ICC, how they would look at it. They might not take too kindly to that kind of double standard, or they may call it. So, but he seems to be very committed or decided that he can do both jobs. But it's very interesting to see what the final outcome will be. But he says he feels he can do it, and I believe he is a key man in the government, and also he wants to complete his term. I think he has a year or two again as the president of the West Indies board. So we'll see how he handles that.
And that's the veteran cricket commentator, Ozzie Lewis. Let's move to track and field news as the Pioneers Athletics Club is set to host its 10th annual award ceremony this week. The ceremony is set for Friday at the conference room of the Dominica Olympic Committee. A president of the Pioneers Athletics Club, Cedric Harris, says that the club's award ceremony will be held under the theme, Plan to Win, Prepare to Win, Expect to Win.
We'll be recognizing our athletes who performed exceptionally well in the 2025, on the road, on the track, in the field, both locally and regionally. The athletes have worked hard, and we as a club want to recognize them on that level. We also want to say thank you to all those who have made this thing possible. Without your contribution, it won't be happening. This year we have taken a different turn in getting that, where we look at our past, some of our past members who have contributed number of awards in their name. So this year we'll be looking at that. It's good to give back, and some of our past members are giving back, and they're giving back awesomely. I want to say thank you in advance. But on the day, more of the program will be outlished.
And that's President of the Pioneers Athletics Club, Cedric Harris, taking us to the end of the DBS Evening Sports Report. A quick look at the ongoing test match, the third test, West Indies and New Zealand. Day one, remember, New Zealand won the toss. They've opted to bat first, and they are 10 without loss after 7.2 overs. And Tom Latham not out on 7. Conway's unbeaten on 3. That's a look at sports. Remember, Off the Field will be live from the DFA Technical Center from 7 o'clock this evening. You can catch us there as we will have the coverage of the semi-finals of the DFA's President's Cup between Bath Estate and the Do It Center Mighty Avengers. See you then.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
DBS Radio gives you top quality service over any other for live streaming of funerals. Call us today at 448-3282.
Good evening and welcome to the evening edition of the DBS Radio Community Bulletin Board. It is the 17th day of December 2025. We begin with this evening's edition of the DBS Radio Deaf Announcements on the DBS Radio Community Bulletin Board. We announce the death of Dion Green, better known as Ondi. He died on Saturday, the 6th of December at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. He will be remembered by his siblings, Dafrica and Amandamas, Thomas, Lana, Esiel, David, Dale, Mavis, Evelyn, Myron, Gertrude, Anne, Anthony, Marie-Therese, Yolan, Lane, Kenneth, Kathleen, Heather, Timothy, Kervel, Vivian, and Stephanie Green. Numerous nieces and nephews include Isa Green and Jaquan Lequent. Numerous cousins to include Tanya, Dorna, Tatiana, Stephanie, and Orzan. Several aunts and uncles to include Marina, Seraphine, William, Julia, and Paul. Friends to include Kirby, Thomas, Cass, Andrew, Joel, Naoko, Nancy, and Sam of Jungle Bay. Anne Wynne, Nurse Commodore, Sunset Bay, Mark Haley, and Kwa. DAPD communities of Canefield and Portsmouth as well. The funeral service of the late Dion Green, better known as Ondi, will take place on Saturday, the 20th of December from 10 a.m. at the Canefield Catholic Church and will be followed by interment of his ashes at the family plot at Donkey Beach. We announce the death of John James Lawrence of Portsmouth. He died on Saturday, the 6th of December at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. He was the son of Mrs. Muriel Lawrence of Portsmouth. He was the father of Joshua Lawrence residing in Tortola, BVI. He will also be remembered by his four brothers, Osborne, Lennox, Remy, and Anthony in Dominica, and his six sisters, Ursuline, Gertrude, Shirley, and Jennifer in the United States of America, Jeanette in the United Kingdom, and Ursula in Tortola, BVI. 16 nephews residing both in Dominica and abroad, including Dr. Dylan Banis in America and Dr. Dylan Lawrence in Dominica. 23 nieces, both in Dominica and abroad, including Dr. Carissa Edwards and Jessica and Shamika